Early in the morning, they went to the table with the black robe, the black shield, and they pulled out the votes. Those votes were...
I eat extra sharp. That's what I eat.
Everybody digging my chili, what I'm laying down? That is not true.
I eat extra sharp.
Please, Sam, if I could just get this sentence out. Please, Sam, if I could just get this sentence out. We could talk about Jimmy. Could talk about Jimmy. Could talk about Jimmy. About Sam, if I could just get this sentence out. We can talk about Jimmy. Jimmy Dore can go and kill 15 kids tomorrow. Jimmy Dore can go and kill 15 kids. Jimmy Dore can go and kill 15 kids tomorrow. And I still believe in force the vote. Please, Sam, if I could just get...
It's not that they don't want to help. They don't know quite what to do. Play the radio. Make sure the television, make sure you have the record player on at night, the phone. Make sure the kids hear words.
I hate the white man. He's of the devil. He was made in a cave in the worst parts of Europe, produced from the lowest forms of humanity. I hate...
Was not a loser. He was a patriot, and the people left behind there were heroes. And I resent like hell. I'm talking about my son, Bo Biden. You're talking about me.
I don't know, Bo. I know Hunter. Hunter got thrown out of the military. He was thrown out, dishonorably discharged.
That's not true. It wasn't dishonorably.
Cocaine use, and he didn't have a job until you became vice president.
He was not a loser.
Everybody comes in your grandmother. Everybody comes in your comes in your comes in your grandmother. Comes in your grandmother. Comes in your grandmother. Comes in your grandmother. Your father, your mother, your brother.
The battle of righteousness versus Satan. Where's Satan? Because these leftists are evil.
Buck be 34 and I have no family. Buck be 34 and I have no family.
Running against the worst candidate in the history of presidential politics puts pressure on me. Could you imagine if I lose my whole life? What am I going to do? I'm going to say, I lost to the worst candidate in the history of politics. I'm not going to feel so good. Maybe I'll have to leave the country. I don't know. Running against the worst candidate in the history of presidential politics puts pressure on me. Could Could you imagine if I lose my whole life? What am I going to do? I'm going to say, I lost to the worst candidate in the history of politics. I'm not going to feel so good. Maybe I'll have to leave the country. I don't know.
In my opinion, it's never too late. Little double sound deck. So that's the story, fellas.
Watch Hillary examine the terrain. Watch a campaign with the man Tim Kaine. Tim Kaine in the membrane. Tim Kaine in the brain.
And then they have cans of soup. And they throw the cans of soup. That's better than a brick because you can't throw a brick, it's too heavy. But a can of soup, you can really put some power into that, right? And then when they get caught, they say, no, this is soup for my family. They're so innocent. This is soup for my family. It's incredible. And you have people coming over with bags of soup, big bags of soup, and they lay it on the ground, and the anarchists take it, and they start throwing it at our cops, at our police. And if it hits you, that's worse than a brick because it's got force. It's the perfect size. It's like made perfect. And when they get caught, they say, no, this is just soup for my family. And then the media says, this is just soup. These people are very, very innocent. They're innocent people.
Hello, users, and welcome to another episodic installation of Above Its Motherfucking All. I am your host. I am Andrea, featuring Max the dog, who's somewhere. You can see there's a dog. And cracked open a room temperature one. How's everyone doing today? Room temperature one sounds like a side character from a bad sitcom. Oh Lord. Hey Bethany. Hey Paladin. Hello, Mr. Freak Glitcher. Hello, Rialan. We got a show for you today. So I guess we'll start off with the recap because that is the most prescient. Is it prescient? Prescient? I would appreciate the answer to this question. I would appreciate that very much. So. Did I forget Sal? Hey, Sal. What's up? All right. Yesterday was the 94th day of protests in the city of Elizabeth City and the county of Pasquotank County over the police assassination of Andrew Brown Jr. We've been marching. We've been making sure our presence has been known for 94 days in a row, and it's pretty incredible to see such a small community put all other things aside for the sake of making sure one of their very own and our very own community members, we can't forget that the police came into our town and massacred our neighbor. And, no amount of time, no amount of attempted cover-ups is going to make people forget that. So we marched around the block on Road Street partially. And then what we did was we packed up and we went on the sidewalks. We did some marches. Keep in mind, this is a Friday late evening, so we did some marches through downtown. We'll start here. Marching downtown, I got some good zoom-ins on people that were having some very interesting reactions. This is, of course, the classic location, Palin's Alley. And, a lot of people here get drunk at 5 p.m., and, it's pretty entertaining to see how they react to such things. We've had many, many people act very cringy at that point. But again, we went through downtown Elizabeth City, made our presence known on the sidewalks, so that way, there's the double edge. You go on the sidewalk, and people are able to drive, and you annoy them. You go through areas that you wouldn't be able to if you're going through streets. And so, we decided to basically do both tactics at the same day. And it worked out pretty well. No real incidents, of course, to report. I think everything is going smoothly. Everything is going great. And again, it's been pretty fantastic watching people come together for such a noble and just cause, such as justice for Andrew Brown. And today will be day 95. If anyone is interested in coming out to Elizabeth City, I would like to remind everyone that day 100 is on Thursday, July 29th. So if you're interested in coming out, day 100 is going to be a day to come out. That's my recommendation. And so, there you go. That's what I have to say on that one. So there you go. That was day 94, folks. Another one for the books. All right. Modify it. I love that word, modify. Yeah, the giant Coke advertisement, I assume, was installed, at some point in, the war or something. That just seems like a very wartime bullshit kind of thing. Alright, folks. Scroll through some Google News. Not a Trump rally. Biden tells crowd to ignore hecklers at Virginia speech. That's funny. China imposes sanctions on U.S. officials. Damn. Wilbur Ross. That's really funny. Yeah, I gotta make a Scoops channel in my Discord for sure. I'll do that next week. Oh my god, this isn't a real headline. This is not a real headline. Holy shit. This is really funny. Alright. So, let's see about this. Let's see. This must be entertaining. It has to be. Representative Eric Swalwell posts cringe texts from Tucker Carlson on Twitter. Alright. It goes without saying that Representative Eric, this is from TheWrap.com, it goes without saying that Eric Swalwell and Tucker Carlson are most definitely not mutual admirers, but the California Democrat scored points with fellow liberals Friday night when he posted screenshots of an awkward text exchange he had with the Fox News host. Let's just read the post here. Let's see what happens. Eric, it's Tucker Carlson. Please give me a call on this number. Tucker, I'm hesitant to do that. You falsely smeared my wife on Tuesday, and she... I can't. And she's getting death threats. That's way out of bounds. She's a pregnant mom of a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old. Hit me all you like, but to go after her, that's just wrong. Tucker responds with, coward. Tucker Carlson, 411. What? That's not news. I mean, that's it. He just says coward. That's extremely funny. Okay, that's it. All right. Well, that was severely disappointing. Here I am giving Eric Swalwell a chance, and then this is what happens. Unfucking believable. All right, let's try again. Hello, fellow liberals. Hey. Okay. Oof. This should be good. DOJ won't investigate 2020 nursing home orders in New York. Other states. This is from Fox News, folks, so keep that in mind. The Justice Department's Civil Rights Division will not be launching investigations into nursing homes in New York and other states whose governors forced facilities to admit COVID-19 patients despite their vulnerable populations, the agency informed GOP lawmakers Friday. Now, again, I want to remind everyone of my take on this. This is a situation where very obviously Democratic governors made giant fucking absolutely catastrophic, fatal errors in judgment, to put it nicely. And this is really the only thing that the GOP can put their hat on. This is like the one thing that they have done, right, in regards to the Cuomo scandals and stuff, that they're actually correct on. Right, I have not seen a single other fucking thing. Now, again, they also think the virus is no big deal. It just so happens to be a big deal if the governor is a Democrat, right? I get their whole position on this is obviously just, just for political gain, and they're just doing it because they can. But that doesn't take away from the fact that Cuomo and other governors made giant fucking mistakes. Now, again, mistakes is putting it nicely. They actively engaged in cover-ups on this shit. And the idea that the Biden DOJ is not going to investigate, that seems to be interesting to me. However, an investigation by federal prosecutors into New York Governor Andrew Cuomo and his administration over their handling of the crisis remains ongoing. Okay, so there is still some investigation. Interesting headline. In a letter to House Subcommittee on Coronavirus Crisis Ranking Member Rep. Steve Scalise, oh Lord, Joe Gaeta wrote that the agency's Civil Rights Division has decided not to open a Civil Rights of Institutional Persons Act investigation of any public nursing home facility within New York, Pennsylvania, or Michigan at this time, after renewing. Isn't it interesting, by the way, that they choose those states and not any of these states that are right-wing with red states that are going into doing all these fucking look at I think it's the governor of Alabama or Arkansas that's literally begging their citizens to take the vaccine, right? And so, it's interesting. Again, if you want to go after corrupt governors and mishandling the COVID pandemic, let's do it. Right? But they're only targeting Democrats. And that's why obviously you have to understand Cuomo fucked up. Garbage son of a bitch motherfucker. That being said, they're all corrupt, and we need to remember that Cuomo is no more corrupt. Well, I mean, he might be more corrupt than other governors, but my point is, you have to make sure that you understand that this is a very partisan story, and you have to read it as such. So, I'm teaching you some media critique. I swallowed that in the wrong hole. And that's one hell of a picture. Oh my God. The Civil Rights Division, which has the authority to investigate unlawful conditions in local or state-run nursing homes, is, the letter said, currently conducting an investigation into 2 facilities in New Jersey, which is also led by Democratic Governor Phil Murphy. The Times Union for Albany, New York, reported that the FBI and U.S. Attorney's Office in Brooklyn launched a probe into Cuomo's order on nursing homes and allegations that his administration underreported COVID deaths. They also tried to cover it up. It was a very active thing. And so anyway, we don't need to read any of their bullshit right-wing statements. But again, it's very interesting that, again, Joe Biden did not comment on Cuomo's, sexual abuse scandals, did not comment on the nursing home scandals, and now, quietly behind the scenes, they're trying to make it a little bit less of a big deal. This is called damage control, folks, and it's a really bad job. But again, the Republicans are exploiting it in the very cringy fashion that they are, and it makes it very hard to actually, navigate the news here. But, what are you going to do? What? Infinite scroll enabled. What the hell does that mean? All right, let's go. New Hampshire primary. Leavitt says Trump won 2020 election, but says she recognizes Biden is president. So again, I need to say, first and foremost, Trump lost the 2020 election. No amount of fan fiction will overturn the election. But this is a right-winger that apparently has gone on Steve Bannon's show and is running in New Hampshire, which is a very interesting state when it comes to right-wingers and libertarianism. So let's read. Leavitt, Trump won 4 days after announcing her 2022 candidacy for the state's first congressional district U.S. House seat. Republican Caroline Leavitt said Friday she believes her former boss, Donald Trump, won the 2020 election. What is that, the former boss? But Leavitt, a 23-year-old former Trump White House assistant, okay, there you go, press secretary and former communications director for U.S. House Republican Conference Chair. What is with all these titles? Former communications director for U.S. House Republican Conference Chair. Jesus, fuck, what? Can't you just say you, fucking, you picked up the phone or something? Is secretary not good enough? What the hell? Former communications director for U.S. House Republican Conference Chair. What the fuck? Also said that President Joe Biden is the president because of the Electoral College results were certified by Congress on January 6th. So, again, folks, this is the fan fiction that they're spinning. A lot of right-wingers are going to stop saying Trump is the rightful president, but they're going to say, yeah, there were some problems with the election. Of course, Biden's the president because, the problems were not found before January. Blah. That's their next effort. They're trying to water it down a little bit and make it a little bit more that way people will go oh, maybe the election was, and that's what they're going for. They're trying to manipulate people, particularly older people, and Republicans are just crazy. They're batshit. So let's continue. This report originally stated that Leavitt, okay, this is a Saturday morning. Leavitt believes Biden is legitimately the president. Leavitt clarified on Saturday, I believe President Trump won the election, but I recognize President Biden was certified, which is why I'm running for Congress to fight against this agenda. What? That's crazy. I mean, I'm not going to read this whole thing, but, also, I condemn it now. But she stated she does not believe Trump incited the crowd. What does that mean? I condemn it now. Why add the word now? Doesn't that seem like an unnecessary... I condemn it. Not I condemn it now. Will you condemn it later? I don't know. That's bizarre. But anyway, look out for this person if you live in New Hampshire. That's pretty interesting. I mean, again, these motherfuckers are crazy. Obviously, Joe Biden won the presidency. Duh. That's a no-brainer. And so the idea that they're really trying to cling to this fan fiction, it's truly remarkable. It's truly remarkable, I have to say. Speaking of remarkable, you ready for this? All right. All right, folks. How it started versus how it's going. That's right, folks. The March for Medicare for All has a new iteration in the saga. So, a couple days ago, they invited this person on, Craig Pasta. And yesterday, turns out Craig Pasta is not in favor of vaccines. Whoa, who would have seen that coming? Unfortunately, I will no longer be attending/speaking at the M4A March. The local organizers, after asking me if I was vaccinated, how dare they, demanded I wear a mask and take a COVID test. I refused. I will not be told when and what to do with my body. I support Medicare for all, not medical tyranny for all. What? How it started, folks. And literally, it was less than a day. So, again, now both of these people, Fiorella Isabel, also, these are the Convo Couch podcasters. Now, Fiorella Isabel has had a couple of, very bizarre statements when it comes to vaccines. I don't care what ideology we ascribe to, forcing experimental vaccines on people is fascistic. Saying, hey, you should take a vaccine to end this pandemic, that's fascism in the eyes of Fiorella Isabel. Our numbers are low and they admit it. 2, we will never get rid of this virus because it mutates. We need to build immunity. No vaccine can help with every single virus type. What? What is this? This is bizarre stuff. It's not fear-mongering, to tell the truth. There's a reason these vaccines are called experimental by the NHS and CDC. The side effects have been suppressed by the media. If they were truly about helping people, you wouldn't have found so many lies around the issue. What are they talking about? What I was doing is going after people calling others anti-vaxxers for sharing their symptoms of said vaccines, which are real. You can't deny their experience. Oh, and for the record, I call it experimental because your beloved state agencies that you also trust dearly, like the CDC and NIH, also do. So, what? And first of all, it was her reasoning for calling it experimental is a post from January? Before they were actually approved for public use. So it's bizarre. This stuff is bizarre. And again, this person also doesn't even support Medicare for all because we've got some other interesting tweets. Now let's look at this. Demanding people either disclose their personal vaccination status or take a COVID test with less than 24 hours of time approved is gross. It's gross. No one else is taking those extreme measures. It is tyrannical because of the way he was talked to, which you don't know about. Tyrannical. What? Again, this is standard practice. You take a COVID test, you put a mask on. This has been how we've been living for a year. Just because the vaccine is publicly available does not mean we're not in a pandemic anymore. So if you are dumb enough not to take the vaccine, which again, you have to be dumb, but if you are dumb enough not to take the vaccine, how come you think that your world should go back to pre-pandemic? It shouldn't. You didn't take the vaccine. In order to end the pandemic, we all have to take the fucking vaccine, or at least, stay at home and stop going to fucking events so that we stop spreading the goddamn virus. The rules don't change because other people take the vaccine. This is how we've been living for a year and a half, up close on, we're getting to 2 years. I mean, we're getting there. I mean, I guess we're a year and a half, I guess. But still, the idea that they think they can not take a vaccine and then enjoy the luxuries of post-pandemic life, I'm sorry. You don't get to do that. Right? I stayed in my fucking house. I didn't leave my goddamn house for a year and a half. And then I took the vaccine and now I'm barely even going out. And these motherfuckers just want to go out to concerts, parties, and do all these big events and without it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And again, these people have a platform. They have a podcast where they talk about this stuff and they have people that believe it. And they claim to be left-wing. They claim this is a left-wing podcast in their own words. I respect Pasta's choice. I will still be speaking. The organizers are not all okay with this. I really respect many of them. It's 1 or 2 people. The way this was done to Pasta was unacceptable. What on earth? Again, it is a Medicare for all march. Nice CIA talking pits from a useful idiot working for the establishment. You smear with no evidence. Mandatory vaccines are authoritarian. No one said mandatory. They asked, hey, are you vaccinated? If not, can you wear a mask? That's not if you come to the event, we will inject you with the vaccine. If you want to march for Medicare for all, you must be injected with this experimental dosage. No, They said, hey, are you vaccinated? Oh, sorry, I can't answer that. Oh, then can you wear a mask? That's tyrannical. What? That's authoritarian. That's mandatory vaccines. Like, I just like, what the hell? I support people's choice to get them or not. I've gotten every vaccine, but questioning how they and COVID have been handled is not a conspiracy. I love how they downplay it, right? Like, oh yeah, no, we're just questioning how it's been handled. What? I just don't understand. It's bizarre. These motherfuckers are bizarre. And there's another tweet that I wanted to show. That shows that these motherfuckers, they don't actually support Medicare for all. Like, they don't. Like, here's a good post from Fiorella Isabel. Medicare for all centralizes healthcare, and I'm against giving the government more power. Of course I'm against it. I'm so for a complete overhaul of our healthcare system, but I'm not just going to accept Bernie Sanders' Trojan horse like some reactionary sheep. Fiorella Isabel responds, agree. I'm against for doing that. What? So someone's going to march for Medicare for all, but they're against Medicare for all? Huh? Also, my issue is people are dying or in debt without meds. If the system wherein I'd rather folks have insulin than not, at least giving states and maybe cities more than the federal government. For me, mutual aid has come from smaller coalitions. It's tough. Now, I agree about mutual aid. It is very important that we take care of our neighbors to the best of our ability. But again, she says, agree, I'm against doing that. What is she against doing? We read, oh, that's Medicare for all. So she is not even in favor of Medicare for all, and yes, she's going to be speaking at a Medicare for all march? It's fascinating. It's fascinating. And again, I mean, this whole thing is just a podcast convention. I mean, that's really what it is. It's a convention for people to platform themselves, meet contacts, get a higher audience for their podcast, and then they're going to cover it on their podcast. It's content for their podcast, and it's a convention for their podcast. So they've been talking about it for weeks. The March for Medicare for All, the March. We're doing a march. And then they're going to go to the speaker. They're going to go speak at the event. They're going to get people to, that weren't previously following their podcast to follow them. And then they're going to be talking about the march. Oh, look at the march we did. We did a march. Look how we did a march. I guarantee you, for the next fucking infinite amount of time, they're going to be spending, when they boost their ego and their credibility and their credentials, they're going to be talking about, oh, we did the March for Medicare for All. And then now, again, passerbys that don't know all of this fucking nitty-gritty drama stupid shit, they're going to say, oh, a March for Medicare for All. Sounds good, Jack. I respect that. When they don't know that these events are fucking bringing people that don't even support Medicare for All in them. Anti-vaxxers, right-wing conspiracy nuts. It's bizarre. It's bizarre. And so I just think it's hilarious. And again, that's why I'm making this video here. God damn. Absolutely ludicrous. Had I realized Sam Suter debated Destiny at some point very recently? I have not realized that, but that sounds interesting. Hold up, amendment. So here's an amendment here. This is really funny. So, Fiorella Isabel, I respect Pasta's choice. I will still be speaking. The organizers are not all okay with this. I really respect many of them. It's one or two people. The way this was done to Pasta was unacceptable. Then Chris Richards on Twitter responds, it was exactly the right thing to do. I support the march, but your involvement only hurts it. You should drop too. Now, like, for those of you that don't know Chris Richards, this guy is a hardcore Force the Vote Jimmy Dum Dum Door fan. Like this guy has been harassing me for like months and months and months because I don't like Jimmy Dore. This guy is absolutely taken the Kool-Aid, and he's taken all kinds of flavors. But even he can recognize that having anti-vaxxers who don't support Medicare for All at a Medicare for All march is a bad idea, right? And so Fiorella responds, nah, you don't support the march. You have stipulations, would rather whine about people you don't like. You're supporting it for progressive cred. Sorry to disappoint you. Not only am I not dropping out, my voice will get louder and louder with the truth. Stay mad. The fucking truth, folks. The fucking truth. The truth will set us free. I wonder how this is gonna go. The fucking truth. My lord, folks. Destiny is a fucking moron. Like, I don't, like, the guy doesn't believe anything he says, and he just changes his opinion based on whatever's, like, contrarian. Like, this guy, like, went from, like, supporting Bernie to supporting Buttigieg. Like, who does that? Like, to be contrarian. He wants to be known as the guy who supported Pete Buttigieg. It's weird. Yo, the Michael Brooks and Destiny debate was so fun. Because it was Destiny, like, crying that Michael wouldn't let him speak, but every time he spoke, he said something wrong. And so then Michael would go off on, like, a fucking 5-minute diatribe about how wrong he was and how silly it is to be wrong. But he did it in such a way that it, like, was so passive-aggressive. I loved it. I loved it. It was so good. Like, it was just like, here's why you're wrong. I'm going to explain why you're wrong. I'm not going to call you stupid. I'm not going to say you're silly. I'm not going to say you're doing this on purpose. But I'm just going to say that you're wrong, and I'm going to explain in great detail how you're wrong. And then, like, his takeaway, Destiny's takeaway was like, oh, I couldn't get a word in. I couldn't say anything. And that was the angle. The same angle that, like, Sargon took in that debate, too. A classic. I wasn't allowed to speak. This person called into my stream and I couldn't even speak. I had the mute button, but I couldn't use it. Ooh. All right, folks. I think I'm going to be ending the stream soon. Let me see if there's anything else worth talking about. Tomorrow, I will be streaming live once again at 9 a.m. And then Monday, we'll be back to 10, just so you know. Left literally breathless. Oh my god. Alright, folks. Again, thank you all for watching. I appreciate it. I enjoy the company. I enjoy being able to speak my mind with people that are willing to listen. And it's incredible. All of y'all are incredible people. And I appreciate all of you for existing. And I hope you all have a fantastic day. And if you need anything, let me know. That's right, folks. Starting, I'm firing it up. Look at that. Fired up. We have both on at once.
After his alleged meeting with the Burmese executives. So this Burmese Bermusia. They say, pronounce it Bermusia. A real beautiful company. Soup. And they throw the cans of soup. That's better than a brick because you can't throw a brick, it's too heavy. But a can of soup, you can really put some power into that, right? And then when they get caught, they say, no, this is soup for my family. They're so innocent. This is soup for my family. It's incredible. And you have people coming over with bags of soup, big bags of soup, and they lay it on the ground, and the anarchists take it and they start throwing it at our cops, at our police. And if it hits you, that's worse than a brick because it's got force. It's the perfect size. It's like made perfect. And when they get caught, they say, no, this is just soup for my family. And then the media says, this is just soup. These people are very, very innocent. They're innocent people.
That was an opinion of somebody, and that was a retweet. I'll put it out there. People can decide for themselves. I don't take a position.
The world is actually a small piece of the universe, right? As far as my relationships with all people, I think I have great relationships with all people. I am the least racist person in this room.
You know, the truth of the matter is that when you look at some of my policies,
everybody comes in your grandmother. Everybody comes in your grandmother. Everybody comes in your grandmother. Everybody comes in your